Hello moviegoers, Ezra here and welcome back to another Ezra review. And on today's review, we're going to be talking about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which is the fourth reboot of the Planet of the Apes franchise, and this movie was special for me, because the original trilogy was actually a big part of my childhood, and back in the day, I don't exactly know that it was actually a prequel trilogy to the original Planet of the Apes, I just thought it was like, oh, it's a cool original movie. That's cool, I love the movie still, but I feel like knowing that it's actually a prequel, it makes it so much more cooler in my opinion, and I admit I know the original plot from the 1968 movie. However, I personally haven't watched the movie. I just know that there's a astronaut from the outer space that crash landed into Earth, but they don't exactly know that it was Earth, because they just know that, oh, it's actually a planet full of apes, that was able to talk and act like human, and I think that's like the big twist in the original movie, that it was actually, oh, it's Earth the entire time, like the Statue of Liberty there. But this franchise is heading to that direction now, I think, because like the original trilogy was different in terms of the tone and the story, because obviously in the original trilogy you are following Caesar, which is basically the main protagonist of the original trilogy, and it is like one of the best protagonists ever, because I care so much for Caesar, and I think Andy Serkis, who plays Caesar, does a great job portraying his character that actually care for both apes and human, and that's really one war, like he just won peace between the two sides, and I think that's a great character arc, and in this movie took place 300 years later, so that's where Caesar becomes a legend, and then there is like a Caesar way of like, teaching, for the ancient time that got carried over into this fourth movie. However, I think the way they handle the Caesar legacy is much more interesting in my opinion, because in this Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, you are following a new protagonist named Noah, played by Owenteague. You also got May or Nova, played by freyaallan. You got Proxima Caesar, which is the main antagonist in this movie, played by Kevin Durant. You also got Raka, which is a orangutan that basically follows Caesar's teaching, and he was played by Peter Macon, which I think Raka might be my favorite character in this movie because he was so funny, and you also got some other character as well, but I feel like those are like the most important character in the movie, so in the movie itself, Noah basically living 300 years after the Caesars, legend, you could say that, and then there is a bunch of other apes out there, which is led by Proxima Caesar, and this Proxima Caesar guy basically adopts the original Caesar's teaching in the wrong way, because obviously Caesar doesn't want war, he wants peace, and he always says, ape together strong, and Proxima Caesar in this movie says the exact same thing. However, it was built in the wrong way, it was teach in the wrong way for his clan, because he thought that, oh, I'm doing the Caesar's teaching, like I'm just doing the exact same thing, but not really, because I think like his way, the Caesar way is actually lost during this 300 years timeline, and I think that just makes it much more interesting because Noah wasn't exactly part of the Caesar's clan, which is kind of surprising to me, because I thought that, oh, Noah is gonna be like a descendant of Caesar, but that wasn't the case in this movie. It was actually much more interesting than that, because Noah and his clan, which is the Eagle clan, was not part of the Caesar's legacy. They were actually a new clan, and they don't even know Caesar. Which is kind of surprising to me that the main antagonist actually knows Caesar and even have like the Caesar's symbol in his clan. And it was like, damn, that was so much more interesting for this story of this movie, and of course Raka is the one that teaches Noah that, hey, like this is like the Caesar's teaching, that we need to be peaceful and have some companionship between each other and care for each other, taking care of each other, and no war, only peace essentially, so I think that's a much more I guess cooler story arc for Noah's character, and also you got May or Nova that has much more mystery with her character, because like I don't, I only see like the trailer once, and I always thought that this is gonna be like, oh, this is gonna be like the astronaut from the original movie, but it was so much more than that, and I feel like people might have some prediction about her character, but I feel like her character is quite surprising to me, because I was like, damn, this is not, I didn't expect that the story is going to this exact same direct, wasn't the exact same, but I guess a much more interesting direction, that's like the proper way to describe that. And it was like, damn, okay, I did not see that coming, and it was much more interesting than what I was predicting, and I think it's just like, yeah, it was much more interesting story wise for May or Nova. And then of course you got Noah there, the ape that basically are new essentially, and I think it's much more interesting character arc between Noah and Nova, because like these two characters have their own story arc in this movie, and it's still going to continue in this new trilogy, because I think Wes Ball, the director of this movie, again does a great job directing this movie. He previously directed the Maze Runner trilogy, which I think is a nice trilogy that I quite like, but yeah, he knocked it out of the park in this movie, man. And I think Wes Ball does mention that this new trilogy is going to eventually lead up to the original event from the Planet of the Apes movie. And I honestly cannot wait to see how they're going to handle that kind of storytelling, because like so far what they were setting up in this movie was interesting, and I really want to see how they're going to go forward with this story, because I don't think it's gonna lead to like the exact same remake of the Planet of the Apes. I don't think so, and I think it's gonna be way more bigger and way more interesting, and I think it's gonna be a much bigger end game for this reboot franchise, because like this movie is 145 minutes long, which is, yeah, it's quite long. However, I think the story and the character was quite interesting enough to keep me engaged. The visual are fantastic, and of course the directing and the cinematography is also amazing. The music by John Pacino, I think, was also amazing. It feels like this movie was scored by Hans Zimmer, because I think the music was so loud at times. However, it was a good score. It's a good music, and it really felt like you are watching like a super big movie. It's like watching an Avatar movie essentially. That it's a super big visual effects movie, and it has some character that you actually care about, except this time around. And I think, yeah, it was a great experience overall, and I think maybe the some of my criticism about this movie is probably because like maybe the runtime was a bit too long, but at the same time, I don't know, like I don't think I have a valid criticism about this movie, because I love everything about this movie. But again, that's just my opinions, and I really cannot wait to hear what other people think about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, because again, the tone and the story was a bit more different this time around. This one is more a fun adventure story, and it definitely felt that way in this fourth movie. And I think that this new trilogy is gonna be just a fun adventure storyline, with probably some interesting storyline in the future, that eventually might lead up to the original Planet of the Apes event. And I cannot wait to see how they're going to handle that event, and I also really like how they handle the Caesar storyline in this movie, because Caesar is a legend in this movie, and there is some people who basically use his teaching in the wrong way, and there is some people who doesn't even know, or I guess apes, not people, apes who doesn't even know his teaching, which is Noah's clan was, which I think that was quite interesting. And Raka, best orangutan ever. It was so funny to see him react to certain stuff. Love his character. So yeah, overall it's a great, fun, adventurous movie. And hopefully people will remember this movie. Because especially this day and age, when you are releasing a movie that basically just like a fun, forgettable movie, then yeah, people are not going to remember that. So I'm really hoping people will remember Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, because I do think this is a good movie, and I personally want to see more of it, because obviously when the movie ends, they are clearly teasing there is something more to the story, especially between Noah and Nova's character, and it feels like there is a big story arc between these two characters, and I really, really kind of wait to see how they're going to handle that, So hopefully, Wes Ball could return to direct like a new Planet of the Apes trilogy, because I think the ending was kind of getting, because the ending of this movie kind of got me hyped for a sequel, to be honest. I was like, man, I kind of wait to see how they're going to go forward with this story this time around, because I think they built such an interesting world in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, so I'm really hoping that people will go see this movie on theaters, and hopefully it makes enough money on box office, and I hope that we get to see like a full trilogy for this new trilogy, essentially, that eventually leading up to the original event, so I cannot wait to see that personally. So yeah, guys, that's my review for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, so let me know in the comment section below if you guys already watched the movie. Then what do you guys think about this fourth Planet of the Apes reboot? Is this like your best movie on your reboot franchise, or do you guys think that the original trilogy was a bit more better in terms of the tone and the story? Like which one you prefer? Like this a fun adventurous tone for the story, or do you guys prefer that the realistic, dark and brooding tone for the original trilogy? So let me know all that in the comment section below, guys. Are you guys hyped to see this new trilogy? I know I am. Like I really want to see where they're gonna go with the story. So yeah, either way, if you guys enjoy this review, then make sure guys pound that subscribe and like button, guys, and share the videos, for the usual stuff, and stay tuned for more reviews in the future. And again, I hope you guys enjoy this movie review, and I will see you guys in the next one then. Bye.